23 years old, 94,000 in debt. Your alarm goes off at 5 in the morning and you're at your desk before 6. 3 monitors glow in front of you. Coffee's already cold. Your salary felt incredible when you signed the offer letter. Then you saw what the managing director billed yesterday. That changed things. So you run numbers. You build models. You format slides until your eyes blur. Complaining isn't an option. Survival means learning to digest a 10K filing in under an hour. You develop shortcuts. You memorize patterns. Efficiency becomes the only currency you have. Then one morning, buried deep in a spreadsheet your senior associate built, you find it. An error. Small in appearance, catastrophic in implication. $2 million off. You stare at the cell. You could say something. Walk over to his desk and point it out. Instead, you quietly fix it in your own version of the file. You save it. You say nothing. Because you've already learned the first lesson. The system doesn't reward transparency. It rewards knowing when to stay silent. 14-hour days become normal. Sometimes 18. You stop counting because counting makes it worse. You study the floor. Which managing director to stand near in meetings? Which ones to avoid completely? You don't have influence yet, but you can see exactly where it lives. A $400 million deal crosses your screen. You'll never meet the client. You'll never sit in the boardroom. But your numbers will be there. Somewhere between your desk and that boardroom, you start understanding how this system actually works. You are the foundation. The invisible part nobody acknowledges. 2 years pass. Now you're in the room. Not the main room where the real decisions happen, but close enough to hear them. You're structuring pieces of deals now. Small pieces, but real structure. You draft terms for a leveraged buyout. Regional logistics company. The numbers work, but you know what they mean. Operational cuts are coming. Jobs will disappear. You don't model the human cost. Nobody asks you to. You model EBITDA margins, debt service coverage, return projections. The deal moves forward. You collect your bonus. You rationalize it the same way everyone does. You just ran the numbers. Here's what you're learning. Proximity to capital means proximity to power. And proximity to power means proximity to decisions you'd rather not be making. But you're making them anyway. You start building alliances. A vice president who brings you onto deals. An associate who feeds you information before it spreads. You protect each other. Not because you're friends, because it's mutually beneficial. Years later, you're managing analysts now. Their output flows through you. Their mistakes land on your desk at 2 in the morning. You stop tracking hours. You think in deal flow. Your first independent close is a $600 million acquisition financing. European infrastructure, Southeast Asian capital. Your managing director's name sits on the cover page. Yours appears halfway through the document. But when the client asks the difficult questions, they're looking at you. That's when you understand what your role really is. You're not being supported anymore. You're executing. The pension obligations of the target company get restructured after the deal closes. The acquiring fund needs a 22% return. The restructuring makes that number possible. You know exactly what it means for the people depending on those pensions. Nobody mentions it in the meeting. The deal closes in 11 weeks. Your year-end number is $480,000. You wire $40,000 to your parents. You buy an apartment in a neighborhood where square footage signals status. You tell yourself the pension fund was heading toward insolvency anyway. Maybe you're even right. But the question has changed. You no longer ask if a deal is good. You ask if it's executable. 3 years later, clients call you directly. Private equity firms route opportunities through your line before anyone else sees them. You manage a billion-dollar advisory book. Your associate builds the model. Your team runs diligence. You sell certainty. That's the real product. Information becomes leverage. You know which companies are preparing strategic reviews before public announcements. You know which funds are quietly building positions before disclosure deadlines. You don't trade on any of it. But knowing sharpens every decision you make. Then you lose a multi-billion-dollar mandate. Not because your numbers were wrong, because the competing banker belongs to the same private club as the chairman. A membership decided the outcome. You don't complain. Within a month, you join 2 clubs. At this level, deals are never just about numbers. Phone calls start arriving earlier, sometimes before markets open. You manage relationships that generate tens of millions in annual fees. You're not working for the bank anymore. You are the bank's connection to these clients. The distinction sounds subtle. It isn't. You sit on an internal credit committee reviewing a $900 million facility. The balance sheet is deteriorating. You vote yes anyway. Not because the credit is strong, because losing the relationship would cost more than the exposure. Every decision at this level is political. It's just disguised in financial language. You travel constantly. Singapore, Zurich, Abu Dhabi. The dinners aren't negotiations. They're relationship maintenance. Trust moves capital more reliably than numbers ever will. Years pass. Eventually, you're one of the partners. Your compensation moves with the performance of the fund. You stop thinking in quarters. You think in decades. A $4 billion infrastructure acquisition lands on your desk. You assemble the consortium. Sovereign wealth funds, pension allocations, international regulators. The deal structure runs through Luxembourg and Cayman vehicles. It's completely legal and extremely efficient. Your carried interest on the transaction will eventually compound into tens of millions. Social events stop mattering. Your world becomes smaller and more exclusive. Only people who control capital remain inside your orbit. Calls come from ministers, from sovereign funds managing billions. You're not participating in markets anymore. The market moves around your positioning. When you buy, others study the signal. When you step back, analysts try to figure out why. Decades pass. You're 71 now. No title under your name matters anymore. Senior advisor, chairman emeritus, family office principal, all technically accurate. None of them tell the real story. Your committee oversees assets across infrastructure, sovereign debt, distressed credit, and currency strategies. Billions move quietly across 14 markets. You don't trade positions. You establish them years before anyone else understands what's coming. When the market eventually reacts, the press calls it brilliant foresight. But the cost of this level isn't something anyone warns you about. The number of people you trust can be counted on one hand. Beyond that circle, nothing exists. You have access few people could even imagine, and almost no one you can talk to about it. You're too embedded to step away. Leaving would cost the system more than keeping you in it. That's not power. That's something colder. Somewhere in a glass tower in a city that never sleeps, a 23-year-old analyst arrives before dawn. His badge says, "First year." He thinks this is about salary, about hard work paying off. He doesn't understand yet what the system actually rewards. But he will learn, the same way you did, the same way everyone does. The terminal lights up, markets open, and the machine moves forward again.